That's what revolution looks like.
I'm tired of losing.
Hit 5, standing by. Don't move here, not yet. Don't go there, no. No, no.
Last night, I got to watch Andor on Disney Plus. They released the first 3 episodes, which I was super stoked about. And Star Wars is one of my favorite stories, favorite movie universes. And I thought I should make a YouTube video, maybe review it, talk about it, get my thoughts on it out into the ether. And so yeah, we're going to do that today. I'm going to start off with giving my overall review of the 3 episodes. If you haven't watched the show, spoilers ahead. Spoilers ahead. Because, I don't want to hold back. If you haven't watched it, go watch it on Disney Plus. Definitely recommend it. But yeah, let's get into the review. So for the first 3 episodes, I'd give it like an 8.5 out of 10. The acting was phenomenal. The world building, like understanding Andor's position in the world at the beginning of this story, reaching back into his childhood and giving us, his perspective of how he was ripped from his homeworld by a character that is almost like a mother figure to him in the show, who is played by Fiona Shaw. She's an incredible actress. She does a really good job of playing. Like, I feel she has real concern for Cassian. I believe that she actually cares about him. The scene where we first meet her, when Cassian comes home and she reveals to him that he's wanted by the Empire or the Corpos, that like they both felt real panicked. Like he was worried and also very defensive when she was like, "Did you tell anybody that you're from Carnia?" I can't remember where he's from, but it's a home planet. But that scene was like dripping with tension, and I believed every second of it. So their chemistry together was believable, that they've known each other for a very long time. But those scenes help make the world feel more real, which it's another thing when at the end of the episode 3, when Cassian is speaking to Luthien, I think his name is Luthen, Stellan Skarsgård's character, and he's like they're trying to get a feel for each other because they neither of them trust each other. Because Stellan Skarsgård's character Luthen is essentially like a spy master. He's in charge of, I guess, recruiting spies, and Diego, or Cassian's, he's a spy essentially. At this point, he's a thief, but like the way that he operates is very spy-like. So it's in that scene, they're when they're trying to figure each other out, they're also like revealing things about themselves. When Luthen asks him, like, how does he do it, and he offers him like 1,000 credits to just tell him how he stole the box, and Cassian turns his explanation into a critique, so to speak, a very scathing critique of the Empire, that they're so fat and proud of themselves that they would never even expect somebody to walk in and just take something. Like, they're so like full of themselves that they don't think that's even possible. So it happens because of their complacency. They think that they're it. They've won, and they're golden. And it makes the Empire feel like a true bureaucracy, as opposed to some like fantasy sci-fi villain. It feels like a real play. And the what's his name? Rupert Vansittart, who plays Chief Hein, Cyril's boss in the Corpos, when they go through that scene where he like tells him to find a suitable accident for them to have befallen them, and he like goes into like, oh, this is actually what happened. Those two guys that died, they're drinking on the job. They went to a brothel where they weren't supposed to go, and they went to a higher end brothel which they weren't supposed to afford, and they were drinking, but they were on the job, so they should have been court-martialed or whatever the whole spiel was. You see the intelligence of these people, and then later on when they're actually chasing Cassian, like their tactical know-how is really good because their pincer maneuvers, they're communicating really well, but once like the shit hits the fan, things are exploding. They're like looking different ways. They're like, oh, we're surrounded. They think it's a bigger deal than it actually is. It's just two guys. It's Cassian and Luthen. They've never been in this situation, I assume. So once they are, they're not prepared. Their technical know-how kind of just like vanishes, and they just like, it shows that the Empire is not full of people who have the awareness and the situational awareness and the capability of performing under pressure. Because Cyril, he crumbles before the mission even starts, when they're on the dropship and he's giving them the other actor, I forgot his name, the Scottish actor, he's giving them the spiel like this is what's going to happen, and then he hands it over to him for the speech, and like there's no conviction in his voice. He's like soft spoken, and he's talking about there can't be any doubt, but you hear the doubt in his voice. So it's very telling, and I think that's kind of the idea that they're trying to come across, that they've gotten so big that there's not enough people that have any kind of real world experience, that they're going to be blind to things that they would never expect, like Cassian just walking in, acting like he belongs, and stealing something that's very expensive, very valuable. And this show does a really good job of making the Empire feel like a real fascist regime, as opposed to, like I said earlier, just a fantasy sci-fi villain. It doesn't feel like that anymore. Even though before we had like the lore of like the Wookiees being enslaved, the Empire stealing Mandalorian technology to destroy Mandalore. These are all like grandiose stories, except, I mean, even especially with the Wookiees, because we have a Wookiee in the original trilogy, well, in all the trilogies really. But we have a Wookiee that it should be hitting close to home, but for me it never did. It just felt like, because we never saw it even until I guess we saw it in Han Solo's standalone movie. But it never really hit close to home. It was always, to me, about the Emperor being, a monstrous Sith Lord. So the fantasy aspect always outweighed the Empire aspect, because the Empire always felt like a facade, just like a wall that the Emperor built to protect himself from the Jedi, from the light side of the Force. Now we're on the ground level. There's no Jedi in this story. The Empire feels like an oppressive regime. We get to see that in multiple ways, like the way that the two men interact with Cassian, try to like extort him for money. How Cyril, the inspector, how he treats his subordinates, yelling at them, making them work really hard to find Cassian when he was already ordered to let it go. And then how they treat the people, especially Bix. They beat her up just for running suspiciously when everybody else around them is running as well. So like you see the fascist tendencies, the brutal dictatorship. Like you see these tendencies firsthand now. So to me now, the Empire feels like a real imperial regime, and it's fantastic in terms of fantasy, obviously, because now the stakes feel more real, and Rogue One kind of touched on that, which I mean, this is a spin-off of Rogue One, so it's all coming together. It's all coming together. So let's see. I wrote down some highlights that I wanted to discuss. Also, the only point in this show where I felt like I was watching a Star Wars movie / show was any point when we're in space, and like when the dropships come to the planet that Cassian's on. There's the obvious aesthetic. It looks like Star Wars. Anytime outside of that, like the corpos, I'm not sure if the corpos are like a third party hired out by the Empire to, you know, they're like, I guess, mercenaries or something like that, or if they're the Empire directly, and these are just like really far down the rung, something we've never seen before, because we see stormtroopers, not these officers. They're these like normal clothed officers. Yeah, the aesthetic is very it feels very new, even not in the sense that like everything looks like it's brand new. In the sense, it's just new to me. Everything feels lived in, and the alien. I don't feel like they like threw in any aliens that were like we didn't see any, you know, Wookiees in the back or anything like that. They didn't. They're not leaning on anything. It feels like they're leaning very heavily on the story that was written. Marva, I talked about her earlier. What was her name? Fiona Shaw. She's an incredible actress. I really liked her performance in episode 2. I believe that's when we were introduced to her. Oh, Tim, Bix's boyfriend. Yeah, I hated that guy from. Just if it was just him following her around trying to figure out what she's doing, that alone would have made me hate this character. But he went the extra step of ratting out. It seemed like he was at least like an acquaintance or a friend. But he ratted out Cassian. Like, why? Because he was threatened. Was he threatened by him as a sexual competitor, or was he threatened by him like thinking that he's going to get Bix in trouble? They never made that clear, but it very much felt like, especially when it was made very clear that he was the one that ratted him out to Bix. His shame felt very much like it was that kind of shame where he didn't want her to realize that it's because he felt like Cassian was competition. And he did see him, like he was at the bar when Cassian like held her hand and was like, I can't, there's no way for me to repay you, but you know, he left before she like pushed him away. He was jealous. So the only thing I can assume is that he saw Cassian as competition and wanted to get him out of the way, which is a really scummy thing to do for a really scummy reason. So for that reason, I hated this character. He could have been redeemable if he had just been the stalker boyfriend who ended up getting kicked to the curb. And when he eventually meets his demise and kills or gets killed by the corpos, he doesn't do anything to redeem himself. He doesn't like kill a corpo or like manage her escape. She still gets beat up after he dies, so he doesn't really do anything to redeem himself. And I did kind of feel bad when he died because he wasn't given the chance to redeem himself, and it felt like he did just like run in and without thinking trying to protect her. So there's a good guy there. He wasn't really thinking about his own safety. And to be honest, I was assuming that they were gonna stun him, but then the red laser bolt came out, and I was like, oh, they killed him off already. And now I wonder how this is going to affect Bix's relationship with Cassian later down the line, if she remains in the story. I feel like this actress isn't the kind of actress you throw away on just a couple episodes. So we're gonna see her again. She might blame Cassian for Tim's death, or she might not. Maybe she sees him for who he is, sees it for what it was, where it was all a scenario that could have been avoided if Tim had just kept his mouth shut. Oh, Sergeant Mosk, the Scottish soldier. The writing for him is incredible because he if you read the subtext with everything he was saying, he's a kiss ass. He was fluffing up Cyril. He was fluffing him up, making him feel really good, but in a way that was like very like prototypical masculine vibes, where he's like, this is badass and doing this is badass, and it didn't feel like brown nosy where like it's like really shameful behavior. Telling, lifting up this person just to be on his good side. It felt like Mosk believed everything that he was spewing when he was like fluffing Cyril up, like when they first meet each other. It felt like he believed all the crap that he was saying, all the fascist bullshit that he was spewing out about strength and, having an officer be out there so that the men can see that him doing the work. So I think he was a really good choice. He was a good actor. Oh yeah, I knew this about him before, but like seeing it again always like blows my mind. Diego Luna's charisma as Cassian, like you see it in several different points when he's talking to Bix. It feels a little bit less because that Bix sees right through him. She knows him more than other people do, and it kind of feels flat. And this is credit to both their acting, because you can see there's like a slight amount of hesitance when Cassian is talking to Bix and trying to like sweet talk her into calling Luthen so that he could sell the box. You could tell he's not on his A game. But everywhere else, like when he's talking to what's it, Nurch, I can't remember the actor's name, but like when he's back home and the guy's like, you owe me money, and then the other alien comes up behind him, like supposed to be like the strong man, but Cassian sees right through it, and he's friends with that alien, and he's like, are you kidding me? I'm gonna forget that this happened. And like that, the charisma there is insane. Like you can't stay mad at this guy. Like if I was the guy, and Cassian owed me money, I wouldn't be able to hate him. Diego is an incredible actor. And then we get to episode 3, okay, with Stellan Skarsgård. He's a beast. There's something about his eyes. It makes it feel like he's been through some shit. When he's talking to the old man on the ship, and he's not even saying any words, I'm imagining what this character is thinking. And he doesn't get angry. He doesn't get frustrated or anything like that. He's just letting this guy talk. Like it kind of lends itself to his character. Like I guess he has that face that maybe people want to talk to, and he listens. He's very good at listening. Maybe as a spy master, quote unquote spy master. I'm not sure what his actual title in the rebellion is going to be, but he's good at I guess parsing out details, listening to people and observing. And then when he's talking to Cassian, there's like a tinge of excitement, like he wants Cassian to join, and but there's also like that sense of like when he talks about the Empire and agreeing with him about like them being fat and arrogant or whatever. There's that feeling when you look in his eyes, like there's history. That hatred, he hates the Empire as well, and he's almost happy to find people that will help the resistance, the rebellion, to destroy the Empire. He's like their days are numbered. They will end eventually, and there's hope in his eyes. It might not be the kind of hope that we see with Luke and Leia, because that's more of an innocent young hope. With him, it's more of a like, I want to destroy, like scorched earth. I want to destroy the entire Empire. No forgiveness, no mercy. And that, I feel like that's kind of, because we kind of see that in Cassian in Rogue One, when he like admits that he's done some shady shit. I think it's because of Stellan, and not because of Stellan, but he might foster that idea that that it do whatever it takes to win, and that the Empire is evil, so we must do things that might seem evil in order to win. And eventually he's going to see that that's, that erodes your own spirit, your own cause, like the determination required to further your cause gets eroded when you do things that are antithetical to your own morals. And that's Cassian learns that eventually when what we see in Rogue One. But it's gonna be interesting to see that dynamic between Cassian and Luthen, and what dynamic he's gonna bring to the relationship, if that is the case. Because, like, again, I said I feel like he's gonna be that kind of character for Cassian, where he fosters those, like, do whatever it takes, the ends justify the means. I feel like that's going to be his type of character. But if not, I'll eat my words. There was one issue I felt iffy about. It was how Marva took Cassian off planet when he was a child. I understand her reasoning, but it felt very quick. Like, she made the decision so quickly. Is there something behind that decision? Is there something behind her making that decision so quickly? Did she want a child of her own, but she was never able to have one? Did she see an opportunity to be a parent to Cassian and jump on it immediately without thinking? She took him so quickly away. Has Cassian not seen his sister since then? Is that why he's looking for her now in secret without telling Marva? It's gonna be interesting to see that revealed. See how that's gonna affect the story moving forward. But also, if it feels kind of scummy. Did she take into consideration the fact that she was ripping a boy from his family? Did Cassian ever tell her, "Oh, my sister's back at that planet, can we go get her?" Or did he, because how did she get off world? He's looking for her on this other planet, completely other planet, at a brothel. Is she being, trafficked? That's, damn, that would suck. But if she's being trafficked, then he might blame Marva for that, for not going back earlier to go get her, or for just kidnapping him without consideration of his family. That's going to be a very interesting dynamic for them to fight through, because she's cared for him. And the fact at the end of episode 3, when they finally separated, Cassian has joined Luthen. She's crying. She's at home crying, knowing that she's probably never going to see him again. Like, that's at least going through her mind. I hope that they see each other again, because their dynamic, acting wise, was fantastic. I think eventually she's gonna make him question the direction he's going. That's just my take, because in Rogue One, he doesn't question that until he meets Jin. So that may have been the last time he ever sees Marva, which makes her tears, like, when I go back to go watch that episode, those tears are going to hit a lot harder if that's the case. So I hope it's not the case, just for the sake of seeing them act together again, because that was really good. But it might be. That's sad. That's really sad. I really appreciate you sticking around and watching my thoughts on the Andor series. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment. Let me know what you thought about the series. And I hope you have a good one.